Welcome to the 21st General Election Debate, hosted jointly by BERITA and the National Wire Service. In this debate, we hope to bring you insights into the four political parties and coalitions competing in the upcoming general election, looking closely at the various policies and choices they would make if they were in office.
Baiklah, Assalamualaikum dan selamat malam saya ucapkan kepada anda semua. Selamat datang ke Debat PRU, anjuran MYS memilih sebuah media kolaborasi bersama National Wire Service dan juga BERITA. Pada malam ni kita akan menghimpunkan keempat-empat penjuru yang mana bersama dengan saya Mer_SPM dan juga rakan setugas saya Yaushi School.
The theme of this elections debate is Should We Change? While the political scene in Miss-verse has always been uncertain and at times turbulent, how should this community change to adapt to our changing times? What would political parties as government do differently to serve the people and the nation?
Jadi persoalannya, adakah debat pada malam ini akan menunjukkan sesuatu yang berkredibiliti yang akan disampaikan oleh kesemua pasukan ataupun ahli perwakilan daripada setiap parti dan juga pakatan, sama ada politik dalam MYS verse ini adalah sesuatu perkara yang sudah pun berada pada tahap yang stabil ataupun mungkin ianya akan mengubah sesuatu seperti mana yang akan kita bincangkan pada malam ini.
Okay, before we start, let us have all of our candidates present here to give a 1-minute introduction of themselves and the political entity that they represent. Without further ado, I'll first invite Mr. Bernard to speak first. Mr. Bernard, off to you.
So, first of all, let me just say that it's a great pleasure for me to be here today representing Parti Demokratik Malaysia as the Prime Minister candidate for Parti Demokratik Malaysia. Having been a former Prime Minister myself, I know how great the responsibility of such a duty is, and I hope to make my case to the Malaysian people about why they can continue to trust and vote for Parti Demokratik Malaysia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bernard. We're now going to move now to BRM, Mr. Winter.
Okay, so thank you from Mr. Yao. So it's my pleasure to be standing back to this debate stage, and it's nice to meet all of these old friends or new friends who are coming in this debate stage. And I hope in today, no matter what will be happen inside of the debate stage, will be establish a new and will be changing a more better Malaysia and makes the Malaysia to be more better in the future. That's it.
Yep, thank you very much, Mr. Winter. Now I'll move to PM next, Mr. School.
All right, thank you. About the short we change, yeah, we should change because we have changed our minds about our political minds, about our government. And now it is time. It's we change this committee, we make it much better. And I want to say to you that I'm different with any PAM member. I will not attack PDM, I will not BM government because each of this party have the same way. And the same way is we advance this committee in much better place than before. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Skull. And I'm going to read the statement sent by the PM candidate. Unfortunately, he is unable to be on the call today due to technical reasons. Duncan Fran, who is present today virtually, is the Prime Minister candidate of the GRM movement and leader of Pakatan, Pembawaan. I'll now invite Mir to summarize the introductions made by the various candidates.
Baiklah, itulah dia pengenalan empat entiti yang cukup penting yang diperkenalkan kepada kita pada malam ini. Seperti mana yang anda saksikan di skrin anda di hadapan rakan setugas saya Yaushi School, empat pemimpin parti ini daripada Parti Demokratik Malaysia. Di sebelahnya ada Perikatan Anak Malaysia dan Barisan Rakyat Malaysia, diikuti dengan Pakatan Pembangkang yang akan membawakan sesuatu yang perlu meyakinkan kita semua selaku rakyat Malaysia dalam MYS memilih pada kali ini. Pastinya debat pada malam ini pastinya akan dijangka akan hangat dengan topik-topik yang akan dibincangkan oleh rakan setugas saya Yaushi School. Jadi kita mulakan gelanggang debat kita pada malam ini dengan topik yang pertama. Silakan, Saudara Yao.
Okay, thank you. Amir, before we begin our first topic, I'd like to remind our representatives and everyone watching some guidelines and rules for this debate. When I first introduce one of the topics or questions that we will discuss, I will call on each candidate in a random order to explain the party's position on the topic and to answer the question for up to 5 minutes. Once they are done introducing the topic, I will then allow candidates time to rebut and counter the arguments made by other parties. Once a sufficient amount of time has passed, I will cut off the candidates and move on to the next topic. After you, Mir.
Baiklah, jadi itulah dia yang diperbincangkan ataupun peraturan yang akan terlaksana sepanjang debat kita ni akan berlangsung, yang mana soalan-soalan akan diberikan dan setiap daripada perwakilan akan diberi masa 5 minit untuk membentangkan pendapat mereka. Dan selepas 5 minit, saya akan bunyikan loceng sebagai tanda perbahasan bagi setiap individu akan tamat. Baiklah, silakan Yao untuk memulakan topik kita yang pertama.
Okay, thank you. Let's start our first topic today. So I'll start with a more difficult topic for you all parties. I'd like to ask this question. Why should you and your party or coalition lead this nation? I will first like to invite the PAM candidate, Mr. William, to comment on this first. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That I want to say to you, to these people, why my party, my coalition, and me can lead this government. As we know, my party is a party underdogs. It's the new party at the MYS. We have been in the politics of MYS in the previous general election. But at this time, we have been known. We changed our party. At the same the topic, should we change? Yeah, we already changed. We are ready for the people government. We are ready to get the more active of this community, and we're ready to advance this community in much better place than before. It is now time we to change our mind, change our political mind, and change our community to much a better place. That's all.
Okay, yep, thank you very much, Mr. Skull. Let's go to PDM now with Mr. Bernard. Thank you.
So, first of all, why should me and Parti Demokratik Malaysia be given the chance again to lead this nation? I believe that boils down to very simple factors. Parti Demokratik Malaysia has had a very long and distinguished history of delivering and serving the Malaysian people at a very, very effective level. And historically, all our prime ministers and leaders have ended up making a material difference to the well-being and stability of the nation. So I believe that, yes, we should change, and we should go with our vision of change, one that is well thought out, effective, and one that is led by Parti Demokratik Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bernard. Let's move on to BRM candidate, Mr. Winter.
Okay, so thank you for the Yao. So before I go through on why should me and my party to lead this nation, let's define for tonight for the debate is should we change? So clearly it's a signal to everyone to understand that in the current status, PDM already leading this nation for a long time ago and is still currently leading. And in fact is they did something better, but they also having some mistake happen. So instead of for us, so why not give a chance to another parties to try to lead on this nation? I'm not only talking about BRM, but also you could give a chance to PAM or even GRM to try to lead this nation. So it will become who gonna knows that there will be a better output will be coming out. So back to our topic, why should me and our party to lead this nation? So for me, in my perspective, our party is more better than the another three parties. Sorry to offense that because we're having a clear vision and having a clear objective to saying that oh this nation is having and suffer in this kind of issue, and we would like to make it change. So it will be matched to today debate stage topic, which is should we change? So that's all from my side, and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Winter. And now I'm going to read the statement sent to me by Mr. Confron, who is speaking digitally. He's saying that he believes that GRM should lead because we are providing ourselves as an alternative which everyone is welcome to gather, though we have some manpower and resource issues. We want to be most committed, though in extreme conditions. All right, I'd like to invite Mir to quickly summarize what we've just said.
Baiklah, itulah dia antara pandangan-pandangan awal yang dapat sama-sama kita dengarkan sebentar tadi. Agak yang cukup membuatkan saya tertarik adalah keberanian yang ditunjukkan oleh Perikatan Anak Malaysia. Kerana kita umum mengetahui bahawa mereka merupakan entiti yang baru pada pilihan raya umum ke-20, tetapi mereka telah membuktikan sesuatu yang memberi signifikan kepada politik negara sepanjang penggal ke-20 dan persiapan mereka untuk menghadapi pilihan raya umum ke-21. Begitu juga dengan Parti Demokratik Malaysia yang merasakan mereka masih lagi boleh membawa perubahan walaupun sebenarnya Parti Demokratik Malaysia sudah pun memimpin sekian lamanya, dan mungkin kita menantikan ataupun mungkin tertanya-tanya apakah perubahan yang akan dibawa oleh Parti Demokratik Malaysia seperti mana yang dikatakan oleh Mr. Dak daripada Barisan Rakyat Malaysia mengenai barangkali perubahan itu sudah sampai masanya untuk beralih kepada pucuk pimpinan ataupun parti yang lain untuk memberi pengalaman dan sebagainya. Begitu juga dengan saudara Angkonfron yang menjadi penjuru yang keempat daripada Pakatan Pembangkang, pastinya ingin membawa sesuatu yang positif dalam politik negara, bukan sahaja untuk membiarkan parti-parti politik yang lain mendominasi, tetapi sekurang-kurangnya ada satu entiti yang akan menjadi seimbang kepada parti-parti politik yang lain. Baiklah, Yau, seterusnya kita teruskan kepada topik yang kedua.
All right, thank you, Mir. I'm now going to give everyone roughly 5 minutes for free discussion. Would any candidates like to speak? Okay, it seems like no parties want to speak on this issue. Or Bernard, you want to?
Mr. Yao?
Yep.
Firstly,
Yep.
I'd like to address one of the points raised by Mr. Winters. He mentioned giving other Parti Demokratik Malaysia should give the other parties a chance to rule and to see if the outcomes would be better. I think that this is very naive and amateurish because Parti Demokratik Malaysia cannot simply give the other parties a chance. The other parties have to earn the trust of the people to achieve their own mandates. Furthermore, simply doing so would be abandoning our supporters, our voter base, and constitute abandonment of our commitment to serve and continuously fight for the interests of Malaysians and our voters. So I think that Mr. Winters has got it entirely wrong. He should be focusing on winning support for his party based on his party's own merits rather than saying that Parti Demokratik Malaysia should give the others a chance and for us to stop fighting for what we believe is a better Malaysia. That'll be all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other candidates want to speak? Mr. Winter?
Possible, let me speak on what based on Mr. Bernard saying. Okay, so Mr. Bernard, I think you take the wrong play on my whole statement. I'm not talking about PDM gonna give the chance to the another speaker. I'm talking about the whole nation. I'm not only saying that, oh, Parti Demokratik Malaysia gonna give the chance to us or to GRM or PAM a chance to become a government. I'm talking about the voters, just telling them that, oh, maybe there's an alternative or maybe there is another choice to let you to having a more better output for the nation. So I think that you're getting something wrong place on my statement and you're trying to, how do we say, make something mistake based on my statement. So try to understand my statement before you're trying to take down or trying to argue back on my statement. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Winter. Any other candidates?
I'd like to respond if that's possible.
I'd like to invite Mr. Skull first, and then Mr. Bernard. Thank you.
Well, wow, what a mess you're fighting now. All right, so let me say it. I'm now standing di tengah-tengah, tengah PDM dan BRM yang tengah fight. I'm standing to here as your alternative, and I'm saying to you before that I will not attack PDM and BRM. I know PDM side, I know they Deputy Prime Minister candidate. And the BRM side, I know the Minister of Finance shadow, and now the representative of BRM, I know. Because of that, PAM, Perikatan Anak Malaysia, have green mandate to you all. We give a choice to lead this country, being alternative of this government, and should we change about this topic? Yes, we should change. And that's all. Thank you.
Mr. Bernard?
So what I said earlier was not based as an attack on any of the parties. It's just a clarification so that the people of Malaysia know where you stand. And okay, so Mr. Winters mentioned that the Malaysian people should explore the alternatives. So how do you determine if the alternatives will have a better output, as he said? We determine that based on your performance in Parliament. And frankly speaking, some people have said that the performance of the opposition has been lacking for many terms now and has not provided an effective check and balance on the executive. So I think that that's a very damning indictment of their ability to provide a credible and effective alternative. And I urge the Malaysian people to consider their previous record and to consider the previous record of Parti Demokratik Malaysia before they make their choice, because records matter. It's a showing of what they're capable of. And any decision needs to be based off that. Thank you.
Any other candidates? Okay. Okay, it seems like we. All right. Actually, I'll actually ask Mr. Winter a question in relation to what he said. I think I'm not sure if all viewers know, but 2 years ago there was something called the 2022 Malaysian political crisis, where BRM, in their first and probably only time of leadership so far, has not done well and had to have their prime minister candidate removed forcefully by His Majesty the King. So I'd like to ask Mr. Winter whether BRM would be able to perform sufficiently if they were in the position of government.
Okay, so Mr. Yao, I'm sorry but I didn't hear that clearly in your last sentence. Is it possible that you repeat your last sentence, your last question for the sentence?
Yeah, okay. So my question is, how will you ensure that your government will be able to lead effectively despite the previous track record that your party has, or your coalition has? Sorry.
Okay, so thank you for Mr. Yao. Just repeat the question for this. Okay, so we know that in the previous two what do we say, political crisis that did happen, mostly is between PDM and BRM. Okay, I know that the whole Malaysian know this thing, but in this term, we have been some things new inside of our parties, which to ensure that the stability of the politics. So in our manifesto, one of the point general objective is the cross-party cooperation, which is like trying to improving the cooperation between the opposition and the government. Because we have been seeing that what is the impact of the political crisis towards to the nations, and we're trying to avoid it in the next term. So that's why when the moment we go through with let's say we are entering to the Putrajaya, we're gonna having our second priority is cross-party cooperation. I just now mentioned having a cooperation between opposition and the government. So the opposition can credit to our government their jobs, and also could be speak out on what is our concern in policy. Though, so this will be one of the things that have been changes from the and been learned from the previous last term. Okay, thank you for it.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Mr. Winter. I'm going to move on to the next topic now. Thank you all candidates for responding. The next topic I'd like to ask about is related to our economy, which through this past term has developed significantly through the introduction of the Vastrix Bank. And before I fully introduce the topic, I'd also like to invite Mir to summarize the last topic. Sorry.
Tidak mengapa, Yau. Biasalah, debat tengah panas, pentas pastinya sedang rancak apabila kita melihat salah satu pihak ataupun antara pihak ini saling membuka kelemahan antara satu sama lain. Seperti mana yang kita lihat tadi apabila Parti Demokratik Malaysia menyerang pendirian ataupun penyataan yang dikeluarkan oleh Mr. Dak daripada Barisan Rakyat Malaysia. Begitu juga dengan Perikatan Anak Malaysia yang dilihat bersifat neutral tetapi boleh menjadi satu tawaran yang baik untuk rakyat apabila seperti yang dikatakan oleh beliau tadi adalah Perikatan Anak Malaysia bagaikan di tengah-tengah. Maksudnya tidak mahu dalam skala yang besar untuk mencetuskan ataupun membabitkan diri dalam, kita tahu sebelum ini, sebelum terlibatnya Perikatan Anak Malaysia, sebelum terlibatnya Gerakan Rakyat Malaysia, ianya adalah satu lawan satu di antara Parti Demokratik Malaysia dan juga Barisan Rakyat Malaysia. Jadi pastinya ketegangan ini, dan kita masih ingat lagi sejarah politik yang berlaku pada penggal yang lepas, malah pada 2 tahun yang lepas apabila kita menyaksikan apabila kerajaan gabungan pada ketika itu untuk menjadi satu sejarah yang barangkali boleh menjadi sesuatu yang terpalit bagi Barisan Rakyat Malaysia, tetapi barangkali seiring dengan berubahnya masa akan ada perubahan yang akan dibawakan oleh Barisan Rakyat Malaysia. Begitu juga dengan gerakan ataupun pakatan pembangkang yang ingin juga menghulurkan tangan kepada rakyat untuk melakukan perubahan yang diharapkan. Baiklah, Yau, teruskan untuk topik yang seterusnya.
Thank you, Mir. Okay, let's move on to our next topic about the economy. So, like I've said, we know the Vastrix Bank has been implemented this term, and the economy has expanded significantly, especially the digital economy within this verse. So I'd like to ask each of the candidates, what will if they were in government, what actions will they do to ensure that our economy continues to grow and continues to function effectively? Yeah, and continues to function effectively. I'd like to invite Mr. Bernard, the candidate for PDM first.
Thank you, Mr. Yao. So with regards to the economy, what PDM plans to do, firstly, as you mentioned, the introduction of Vastrix has significantly improved and expanded the potential for growth within our nation's economy. And we believe that by using Vastrix, we can kickstart growth in the public sector and in the private sector once more. So, for example, one of our commitments with regards to finance is introducing a salary scheme for civil servants that would utilize Vastrix and function as an incentive for an active civil service that would be able to draw in people that are capable, qualified to do the tasks that are required for the nation. So using Vastrix, this will allow us to pay the civil servants. Likewise, we will explore improvements with the banking sector through meetings and discussions with bank officials so that the finance sector can really be fleshed out, so that either in-game or on Discord, we will work with them to flesh out the sector, as we believe that the financial sector, as shown by Vastrix, is a sector of Malaysia's economy that has vast potential and has been relatively untapped thus far. So those are our main plans for the economy, and that will be all.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard. I'll ask Mr. William, the candidate for PAM, to speak next. Thank you.
All right, thank you. What I'm saying, I agree with PDM side. Well, there is an ethics plan that we have the previous government made. Maybe this can make the opportunity to the people, and maybe can make the role players can more active and make this community MYS is more advanced. And yeah, I'm agree with all topics what PDM say, but what Mr. Burnett say. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Skull. Moving on to Mr. Winter.
Okay, so thank you for Mr. Yao for asking that question. So I heard about PDM and Mr. William talking about their finance part, and I quite interesting on there. But when the moment I look at my own one, I think it's more rather towards on this because we know that the implement of the VAT rate into the banda or into the whole nation, let's say, it will be bring some changes towards to the economic system of the nation. So for me or for our party, we have been thinking that we're gonna do having a amendment to the Employment Act 2022, which we will trying to having a protection towards to the staff from having a wrongful termination, and also we need to require for the let's say the business to having paying their staff to having their wages, and also setting up with a minimum wages in also will be in-game currencies. And also we gonna having a employment provident fund which calls EPF bills, which I found is quite interesting in our manifesto compared to another's party's manifesto, which we're trying to implement this because we want the employees and their employers to contribute towards their retirement saving and allows the workers to withdraw their saving at the time when they are retiring, so that when the moment they are retire, they are can getting some rewards and getting some things um to enjoy their retirement life. So this is what the coalition trying to working on through.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Winter. I'm going to read the statement provided by Mr. Confront for GRM. If we can, Mr. Confront will be able to grow and sustain our digital economy by promoting the usage of in-game currency, ringgit, in all role-playing games possible, and that there can be ways to grow a digital economy with the use of in-game currency. I'll invite Mir to summarize what has been said.
Baiklah, itulah antara yang disampaikan oleh calon-calon daripada setiap parti, terutamanya kebanyakan daripada mereka menekankan apa yang mereka ingin bawakan dalam manifesto yang telah dirilis ataupun yang telah mereka persembahkan kepada kita seawal pagi tadi oleh keempat-empat parti atau pakatan ini. Jadi ada yang menyarankan untuk skim pembayaran kepada penjawat awam, ada yang memperkenalkan untuk simpanan sistem persaraan dan bagaimana caranya untuk kita memperkukuhkan sistem perbankan itu antara yang menjadi tumpuan. Kerana kemajuan ekonomi yang kita nikmati pada hari ini perlulah ada mendapat manfaatnya oleh rakyat jelata. Sekiranya rakyat jelata tidak memahami sistem perbankan yang ada di MYS Verse pada ketika ini, pastinya ianya satu perkara yang sia-sia untuk kita menunjukkan satu role play yang terbaik, terutamanya dalam sistem ekonomi. Baiklah, silakan jauh untuk topik yang seterusnya.
Thank you very much, Mir. Okay, I invite all candidates for 5 minutes of free discussion. Would anyone like to speak first?
I'd like
Mr.
to speak
Bernard?
first if possible.
Okay.
So Mr. Winters mentioned earlier about the fact that their coalition is exploring setting up the EPF, the Employees Provident Fund. So my main question is, how does this fit into Malaysia, Roblox Malaysia? Because retirement in most instances involves leaving the platform. So I'm just wondering, what use would this be when financial institutions like Vastrix already have saving accounts that gain interest So this just sounds like reworking the entire process of paying somebody, putting it in a bank account where it can currently get an interest for another name, Employees Provident Fund, because it serves no practical purpose on Roblox. It doesn't work in the sense that because once retired, you usually leave the Row Nation.
Mr. Bernard, please summarize.
You don't get involved. So I'm just wondering how that will work.
Okay. Mr. Winter, would you like to speak?
Yeah, sure.
Mr.
Okay,
Winter?
so thanks for huh? Okay, so thanks for Mr. Bernard for asking that. Yeah, there is some kind of people when they are retirement they will leave the platform. But what about others? Some of them they retire from the company doesn't mean that they're gonna leaving to the platform, leaving the Discord platform or leaving the whole Roblox platform. They might be just gonna to change their pathway to another places. So are you saying that they are retiring from, let's say they are retiring from the Suruhan Jaya Syarikat Malaysia SSM, and then they want to change their position to another government agencies, and you are saying that they are leaving the platform and they should not get something rewards when the moment they are retirements? No, I know, I understand that there is the people when the moment they are saying retire, they are leaving the platform. But what about the people that are not trying to leaving the platform? They just want to change their pathway. So when the moment we're talking about EPF, it's not only talking about the public sector and the private sector. We're also talking about the rights of the individual who are working. So if let's say today you retire, you don't get anything, or you just simply getting the savings for let's say the saving interest in your vestry, isn't that is more better than you having your EPF and your savings at the same time? So you can take both at the same time and go to enjoy your retirement time instead of just having your vested saving to enjoy your life in maybe Bandar or in the future the Daira. So that's all for my response towards to the Mr. Burnett question.
Thank you, Mr. Winter. Any other candidates?
Do you mind if I reply to some of the points?
Yeah, yes, please. That's fine.
So Mr. Winters raised the example of someone switching from SSM to another occupation. So I would like to remind Mr. Winters that that is not considered retirement. That is called seeking other job opportunities. Retirement is when one ends their involvement in working life. In this case, usually their involvement in the Row Nation. I am just asking that in those cases, as stated in his manifesto, is specifically for retirement. That is a very, very small subset of cases, and that was my whole point for the question. So personally, I don't see the point for the EPF bill, but there can be ways to better incentivize working, but I do not believe that this is the solution. Thank you.
Okay, any other candidates?
Is it possible I rebus back Mr. Burnett?
Quickly.
Okay, so I think you get the okay, thanks for correct me in the first point, but you still don't get my last sentence, which is if let's say today we only have savings account or saving interest to enjoy our retirement life, why not we having a EPF and saving interest at the same time? So the people having a double, let's say the double money to enjoy their retirement life compared to just having a one money or one things, one income to enjoy their retirement life. So that's the whole point that I'm gonna tell you in your statement. So that's it.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next topic. Thank you, all candidates. And I'll just quickly just say the topic. The topic that I'll discuss next is immigration restrictions and the increase in the voter base. Mia, would you like to summarize the topic? Thank you.
Baiklah, jadi kita akan ke topik yang boleh dikatakan agak penting juga untuk kita bincangkan, terutamanya apabila melihatkan kepada bagaimana perubahan yang dilakukan oleh pentadbir bagi MYS Verse apabila membuka kerakyatan seluas-luasnya kepada seluruh warga Roblox ataupun komuniti secara keseluruhannya untuk membuka peluang untuk mereka mengundi. Kalau kita melihatkan sebelum memasuki penggal ke-20, kita menyaksikan undian yang orang kata agak ketara ataupun boleh dikatakan sebagai mencukupi untuk mengesahkan parti mana yang akan memerintah. Tetapi sebaik sahaja memasuki penggal ke-20, prospek pilihan raya itu kelihatannya agak berbeza dan outcome-nya itu juga kelihatannya tidak disangka-sangka. Termasuk juga dengan keempat-empat pihak yang berada di atas pentas apabila menyaksikan keputusan pilihan raya umum ke-20 juga tidak menjangkakan bahawa perkara itu akan berlaku. Jadi kita akan berbalik semula kepada Yau. Kita nak tanyakan, mungkin apakah pendapat keempat-empat penjuru ini berkenaan dengan perubahan ini, sama ada baik ataupun tidak. Silakan.
Okay, thank you very much, Mia. Now, our next topic is going to be about immigration and citizenship requirements. Now, I think all candidates know that in recent times, the administration has made the decision to remove citizenship eligibility requirements and effectively allowed all Malaysians that joined the Roblox group to be able to vote in our elections and become citizens. This also included the dismantling of the immigration department. So I'd like to ask all the candidates here, will they change or would they recommend to change the current citizenship requirements and requirements to vote? And if so, how would they do that if they were in government? I'd like to invite the BRM candidate, Mr. Windsor, first. Mr. Windsor? Okay, let's start with Mr. Skull from PAM first.
Well, thank you. I think I will just speak at the for PM. It's much easy to explain this. So bila kita bercakap pasal citizen ni, requirement citizen, saya rasa Jabatan Immigration dalam MYS kita mestilah bentuk kembali sebab diorang yang data-data citizen-citizen ataupun orang-orang baru yang nak masuk ke MYS. Dan apabila diorang nak vote, kenalah harus ada data. Nah, data tu dari mana? Data tu dapatlah dari Jabatan Immigration. So, it's now this time we change. The previous government menghapuskan Jabatan Immigration. At the palm side, we will get it back. Jabatan Immigration itu, and we will make back to the normal, back to the right, back to the vote. So of that, we gonna back the Jabatan Immigration itu akan kembali seperti semula, akan mendata semua warga-warga, semua masyarakat, community, rakyat untuk mendapatkan undian dan suara mereka untuk change, untuk menentukan siapa yang akan menjadi kerajaan pada penggal nantinya. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Mir, do you mind translating what the PAM candidate has just said? Thank you.
Alright, so the representative from Perikatan Anak Malaysia asking where is the data that should be explained by the immigration department, and that's why the immigration department should be established, because when we have immigration department, so we can have the data to observe how the voters vote into the this general election. That's what Perikatan Anak Malaysia has raised in the round.
Okay, thank you, Mir. I'd like to invite the BRM candidate next, Mr. Winter.
Okay, so thank you for Mr. Yao, and sorry just now having some issue in internet. So let me continue on this. So my party will not and will be remain the citizen requirements in MYS. So why? Because in the current citizenship requirements, we think that it's quite enough for it. Even though we know that the MYS verse is already dispatched by the immigration department, but we're trying to also like empowering the national registration department so that under this national NRD, okay, which is called National Registration Department, will be encouraging the more Malaysians to be registered their, let's say, their local name and also their info into the government database. And we plan to make the NRD one of the important parts to granting the citizenship. So this will be helping us to understanding on the info of the citizenship and try to promote the aids in the future so that they're having the in-game experience in the future also. So that's all from me.
Thank you. I'm now going to read the statement sent by Mr. Confront from GRM. GRM will not change the citizen and voting requirements in Miss-verse, and he did not give further elaboration. I'd like to invite Mir to summarize the arguments made.
Alright, thank you, Yao. Jadi itulah dia isunya berkenaan dengan immigration ataupun sebenarnya pembukaan kerakyatan sebesar-besarnya yang akhirnya menyumbang kepada pola pilihan raya yang ada. Tetapi mungkin kita nak beri peluang juga Yao kepada Bernard G. Templer untuk menyuarakan pendapat beliau mengenai dengan immigration ini. Silakan. Bernard, you have the floor.
Mr. Bernard, do you have the floor? Sorry. Mr. Bernard, are you there? You have the floor. Sorry, for just now, I forgot to invite you to speak.
Okay, hi, thank you. So the question posed was, will our parties change the citizenship/voting requirements? And frankly, I think that the matter is beyond the control of any elected government within MYS SIM at the moment. But I do think that we need to raise a discussion on the voting requirements in Miss-verse, especially since currently you do not have to be a in the citizenship in this sense does not mean active participation in Miss-verse SIM. And currently, people who are not engaged in Miss-verse SIM are able to vote for a government in general elections. We believe that a discussion needs to be had because, frankly, people who aren't in Miss-verse SIM get to decide the government that governs Miss-verse SIM, even though they do not take part in Miss-verse SIM. They do not feel the impacts, they do not feel the consequences, they do not feel the effects of the government that they voted for. So I believe that moving forward, regardless of whoever wins this election, I believe that the government, especially our party, we will fight for a clearer discussion on voting requirements and how we can better manage the impacts of potential uninformed voters voting and affecting the experience for Miss-verse SIM voters who have voted for a certain government only to find out that they have been outvoted by people who aren't even a part of Miss-verse SIM. Thank you.
Okay, Mir, would you like to finish the summary? Thank you.
Baiklah, itulah yang diutarakan oleh keempat-empat pihak pada malam ni yang rata-ratanya mungkin hendak mendapatkan penjelasan atas ke manakah ataupun keperluannya jabatan immigration ini untuk memberikan pencerahan untuk menentukan adakah mereka ini berkait dengan universe ataupun simulator yang ada di dalam MYS bus ini, kerana kebanyakan pengundi-pengundi yang ada di dalam MYS bus itu sendiri adalah bukannya orang yang terbabit secara rasmi di dalam MYS bus punya role play, sebagaimana dengan permainan kerajaan, politik, pembangunan, penjawat awam dan sebagainya. Jadi mungkin mereka memerlukan sedikit masa dan juga mungkin memerlukan pendapat termasuk juga memerlukan kepada pandangan-pandangan yang lebih menyeluruh untuk memastikan perkara ini dapat difahami oleh kesemua rakyat, termasuklah di luar ataupun di dalam simulator. Baiklah, berbalik semula kepada Yao.
Thank you, Mir. I'm going to give all the candidates this time 3 minutes of free discussion. Would any candidates like to speak first? Okay. Right. Okay. So no candidates would like to speak first. So I'll actually like to ask Mr. Bernard a question first regarding the point that he's just made. He suggested that he believes that there needs to be a more clear dialogue in regards to the citizenship issue. So I'd like to ask him, what sort of dialogue would you try to implement, with who, like who will be involved in this dialogue? How would it be conducted? Thank you.
So thank you for the question. So with regards to what I said earlier about there needing to be a clear conversation, I think that any elected government has a responsibility to the people, to its constituents. In this case, it's voters. But this is a complex issue as we have voters from MYS SIM and non-MYS SIM voters. So what we need to do is open up a dialogue with the administration team on how to address these issues, because it doesn't make sense for MYS SIM users who are affected by the change in government and the votes that they cast. It doesn't make sense for them to be subject to the non-MYS. It doesn't make sense that their experience is impacted by the non-MYS SIM voters to potentially an adverse effect. So I believe that any government moving forward should open up a dialogue with the administration to discuss ways to manage this problem. And certainly our party believes strongly that if elected, we will fight for this issue, because frankly, the last election showed us that although it did expand civic civic involvement in the election, it did bring about some unexpected political changes
Please summarize your argument.
where non-Muslim SIM voters voted without being informed about the choices that they had. Thank you.
Okay, would any other candidates like to speak on this topic? Okay, I'd actually like to ask Mr. Skoll a question about this topic as well. So just to confirm, Mr. Skoll, did you say in your statement just now that you'd like to re-implement the immigration department? Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. Can you elaborate on how this would be done?
Of course, at the first step, we must talk about the administration, like the Mr. Bernard before. So I'm saying it again. Data is the most important that we have it. If we want to be a citizen and vice versa, you must have a data. If you have make a case at Labuh Raya or Bandar Raya at the games, and should we have data so police know what have been know your group, what group you in, and another what that your data is important. So if you get any problem, you have the data. So because of that,
Okay, so I'm sorry,
integration
how are you going to collect this data?
What is it, Mr. Yan? Can you repeat?
You said that you're going to collect data through the immigration department, right?
Yeah.
Can you explain how this is going to happen?
Well, this gonna happen, which it's became the cooperation on antara kerajaan and the administration. So it's the cooperation between the government and the administration. Just that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very interesting take. Yep. Thank you very much. I'll move on to the next topic now. Thank you, all candidates. And before I let Mir summarize, I'll just like to introduce that the next topic we'll talk about is it will be related to the Ministry of Youth and Sports and supporting our sports teams and institutions. Back to you, Mir.
Baiklah, jadi satu topik yang juga agak hangat diperkatakan, data dan sebagainya dibangkitkan, termasuk juga dengan perbincangan dengan pihak pentadbir, administration yang dibangkitkan oleh PDM dan juga PM sebentar tadi, yang memerlukan pada penjelasan mengapa perkara ini terjadi. Mengapa perkara ini boleh berlaku dalam landscape politik negara kita. Jadi mungkin itu juga boleh difikirkan juga sekiranya ada penonton-penonton kita yang ada komen yang ingin ditinggalkan mengenai topik-topik yang dibangkitkan dalam debat ini, anda boleh tinggalkan saja di ruangan komen secara langsung kita pada ketika ini. Jadi sebelum kita nak masuk ke topik sukan, anda boleh saja untuk scan QR code yang tertera di stream anda, di screen anda pada ketika ini untuk anda mengundi calon debat manakah yang menyelah dalam GE21 debate should we change. Sama ada anda boleh pergi ke bit.ly/should we change ataupun anda boleh scan QR code yang tertera di skrin anda untuk anda mengundi sama ada PDM, PAM, BRM ataupun GRM yang banyak memberikan input yang terbaik pada pendapat anda. Baiklah, silakan Yau untuk anda kita bergerak ke topik sukan.
Thank you very much, Mia. So the next topic is about the Ministry of Youth and Sports and sports in general within MISFERS. So I'd like to ask all the candidates here, what will your party change or not change if you are in government to support our sports teams and institutions under the Ministry of Youth and Sports? I'd like to invite Mr. Skull from PAM first.
Well, thank you, Mr. Yellow. I think my side at the PAM coalition, we will give a full support on the side. Why? Because we have been known, Sukan, sport, it is like jantung. It is like all the role play active is from Sukan, sport. Because of that, PAM will full support and have been no experience. I'm before at the Indonesia, it's a former Secretary General of Ministry Youth and Support Indonesia. Because of that, PAM and mine as a Prime Minister candidate will give a full support at the Sukan team. Any event about Sukan, we will give a support. Yeah, just that. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Bernard from PDM. Mr. Bernard?
Sorry, would you mind repeating the question?
So the question is, what will your party change or not change in government to support our sports teams and institutions under the Ministry of Youth and Sports?
Right, thank you for the question. So, with regards to what our government will and will not change, I believe that our current minister for Youth and Sports, Kocheng Chizi, our DPM candidate, has done really well in supporting and fostering the growth of sports. So I think moving forward, that we will continue to support and foster growth of the sports sector wherever possible, and we will continue our efforts in expansion. So during our term, we've seen expansions into football, motorsports, amongst others, and we will continue to look out for opportunities where we can support the sports scene in MISVERS. Thank you.
Thank you. BRM, Mr. Winter.
Okay, so thank you for Mr. Yao for asking that. So yeah, I do agree with Mr. William just now talking about okay, Sukan is the jantung of the negara, but we didn't hear about the point on from PAM talking about how they gonna to do it for the Ministry of Young and Sport. So sorry for the offline, but yes, I didn't hear your voice. So some things that did from our coalition will be we're gonna to having a Sukan community festival, let's say. So people will be like can join together without like competing or something. So such as the football and motorsports, which plan to like disclose and also to promote the sports and the benefits of sports and let's say the roles sports towards to the public. And also in our coalition, we're trying to implement a national sports development plan, not only in footballs and motorsport. We're trying to finding another's potential of those sports into the national development. So the people more understanding of the benefits of sports, they can implement the benefits into their real life. So this is what the coalition trying to bring it on to us in their in this youth and sports.
Okay, yep, thank you. All right, that should be all the candidates. The candidate for GRM has not responded to this question, and so we will be moving on after Mir gives a quick summary. Thank you.
Alah, itulah dia antara pandangan yang diberikan oleh majoriti pihak untuk terus memperkasakan sukan dan sebagainya. Lebih-lebih lagi untuk membuka sukan. Saya agak tertarik dengan apa yang dikatakan oleh Mr. Dak berkenaan dengan sukan komuniti itu tadi. Yang mana barangkali kalau pada pendapat kami di MYS memilih sendiri, sukan bola sepak kebanyakannya diutamakan oleh kerajaan terdahulu. Jadi apabila saya mendengar BRM memperkenalkan sukan komuniti, ya pastinya kita sebagai rakyat Malaysia tertanya-tanya, terutamanya bagi rakyat yang daripada kaum hawa ataupun wanita, apakah mungkin sukan yang boleh dipelopori ataupun diceburi oleh mereka berbanding pada lelaki yang kebanyakannya mudah untuk mendapatkan sukan, peluang sukan dan sebagainya. Tapi apapun, satu perspektif yang menarik juga daripada perwakilan-perwakilan parti atau pakatan berkenaan dengan sukan ini untuk kita terus perkasakan supaya selain daripada kita memfokuskan kepada sukan bertaraf antarabangsa, tetapi juga kita membuka kepada rakyat kita sendiri untuk merasai pengalaman bersukan itu sendiri. Baiklah, ya, teruskan untuk perbincangan yang seterusnya.
Thank you. Let's go to 3 minutes of free discussion. Would any candidates like to speak? Yeah, Mr. Winter, then Mr. Bernard, if he'd like to speak.
Okay, so thanks for Mr. Yao for talking that. So I would like to point out with Mr. William just now. So he just talked about his plans. So I go and scroll his manifesto. I'm quite interesting on one thing is called MYS Sports Camp. So he mentioned that will be open to all Malaysian citizens and aim to develop the talents of Malaysian in various sports activities such as cycling, football, karting, and skateboarding. But you didn't mention that how you gonna to implement, like, let's say what is the first phrase, second phrase, and the third phrase. So is it possible you answering the question from us?
Okay,
Well,
Mr. Skoll.
well, thank you. What a great question from the PLM side. Well, let me say it. We make it this because we have been known. There's a many citizen at the MYS first community that have a many experience at the Sukan. Because of that, we make it this, and we are not gonna like just, oh, you have experience, or I will choose you have, or you good at Sukan, all right, we get it to you. No, we will just like do some interview and select them to in that community. So like just like not be conism or like that. We have just been interviewed and select them to in that community. Yep.
Okay, any other candidates?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, since there's no candidates that want to speak, I'll ask a quick question to PAM as well. So you said during your explanation just now that said you will strongly support our sports teams and our sports institutions. I'd like to ask you a quick question. How do you plan on supporting these teams specifically?
All right, thank you, Mr. Yossi. What a great question too. Well, how I'm support the Sukan side. So like I will just monitoring the Sukan event because we have been known that MYS first, terutamanya dalam bola sepak kita sangat-sangat mungkin terbaik lah boleh cakap. Sebab if we say, I don't know, there's Indonesia fans, we have a much better sepak bola team than Indonesian team. So because of that, all is good. And I want to say to thank you for the previous government, PDM or BRM. I want to say to thank you because the Sukan team is already good of all. There's nothing problem. Because of that, Perikatan Anak Malaysia is full support, and maybe we will continue any program for the previous government because we have been known this effect is good for our belia and Sukan. Just that, Mr. Yani.
Okay, thank you. Any other candidate like to speak? Okay, seems not. Let's move on to the next topic after Mr. Mir summarizes it.
Baiklah, itulah antara pendapat ataupun pandangan yang disuarakan oleh kesemua perwakilan pada pusingan berkenaan dengan sukan ini, yang mana seperti mana yang dikatakan oleh Perikatan Anak Malaysia yang tak akan dapat kita nafikan, iaitu bagaimana sukan bola sepak ni sambil dia memetik juga negara jiran. Tetapi saya bersetuju juga dengan apa yang dikatakan oleh Mr. Schoolwalk 1105 daripada Perikatan Anak Malaysia, kerana kalau kita nak membandingkan Malaysia dan Indonesia dari segi perlawanan bola sepak bertaraf antarabangsa, semestinya kita agak jauh. Kerana kalau kita hendak melihat, saya rasa mungkin Mr. Skullwalk juga bersetuju dengan saya apabila pasukan Indonesia lebih unggul di pentas antarabangsa dalam sukan bola sepak. Jadi ini adalah tanggungjawab bagi kerajaan seterusnya. Terutama saya ada juga melihat Barisan Rakyat Malaysia ada dalam manifesto mereka menyatakan bahawa mereka juga berhasrat untuk menaikkan ranking ataupun kedudukan Malaysia ataupun yang vice versa dalam Roblox International Football Association ataupun RIFA, supaya kita boleh berada pada rekod yang cemerlang dan sebagainya. Tapi bagaimana pelaksanaannya itu sama-sama akan kita nantikan ataupun sama-sama kita mungkin tunggu apabila saatnya itu nanti akan tiba. Baiklah, berbalik semula kepada Yao. Silakan.
Yep, okay, and before we begin our next topic, I would like to invite our viewers to also scan the QR code on our screen to be able to vote in our poll for this debate. So now the next topic we'll talk about is regarding foreign affairs. I'd like to ask all of the candidates here the following question. Given the uncertainty that is currently in the international stage with the conflict between Myanmar and Thailand and also ongoing conflicts within the South China Sea, within the Roblox United Nations specifically, how will your government, what will your government do in order to ensure the safety of our nation and also that our nation continues on successfully? I'd like to invite Mr. BRM, Mr. Dark.
Okay, so thank you for Mr. Yao for asking that. Yeah, clearly we understand that what is happening in the international stages, no matter is Thailand, that conflict is happening. So for us, how we gonna to defend our nation? First thing we gonna to having we're gonna strengthen our relationship between the Malaysia itself with the Commonwealth. So there more channel will be open towards inside the Commonwealth itself, and also inside of the Commonwealth we're having a corporations, and we would like to having a ranging from the business transfer to joint sharing of experience, and also to promote the security in the South China Seas itself. And also we're trying to strengthen the Malaysia reputation with the nations so that the new nation will be established with us, and not new nation will be established with us. New relationship will be established under our coalitions, and we're trying to open the more dialogues to tell the world that, oh, we as the partner, we as the nation who work well in the global, we're trying to maintain the peace in the peaceful in the
Please summarize your
globalized.
argument.
Okay, so for the summarize, we're trying to maintain the current status and trying to find the peace for solution for the people who are currently suffering in the conflict somethings. So that's all from our side.
Thank you, Mr. Dark. Mr. Bernard from PDM.
Thank you, Mr. Yeo. So, with regards to the safety and continuity of our nation on the international stage, I believe that Parti Demokratik Malaysia has been a stable hand at the helm with regards to foreign affairs for the past terms that we've been in government, and we have established a wide network of alliances and partnerships of like-minded nations such as the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Thailand, Turkey, and Mexico for a start. So these are all parts of our efforts to ensure that Malaysia always has friends, and that Malaysia always has common values that are defended in the international stage. So, with regards to the recent uncertainty on the international stage, especially involving Myanmar and Thailand, as you know, Thailand is a member of CETO, and as such, our commitment to defending Thailand against any unwarranted acts of aggression and acts that may infringe the sovereignty is ironclad. As stated in the CETO Charter, an attack on one is an attack on all. So we will be resolute in our defense of Thailand so as to ensure that our region is stable so that Malaysia can prosper. A stable region is the prerequisite for our nation to prosper. So our foreign policy will focus on stability for our region, cooperation with our friends and allies, so as to ensure that we have the environment in which our domestic side can thrive without having to worry about foreign affairs.
Mr. Burt,
Thank
okay,
you.
thank you. Mr. Skull, PAM.
Well, thank you. And at the first time, I agree with the two side, with the BLM and PDM side. At the BLM side, I'm quote that we must establish a strength alliance on country. And yeah, that's really right. And about the PDM side, the motto is good. I know Mr. Burnett is the previous Minister of Foreign Affairs, I think now too. And yeah, establish region and like they said, domestic affairs. So they not worried about the foreign affairs issue about that. And yeah, we must agree with the BRM side and PDM side. Still, we will still establish a quota service. Yeah.
It's
Okay, thank you. And now I'm going to make a statement made by Mr. Confront from GRM. If we're in charge, our party can ensure safety and continuity by rewritten negotiations of certain restrictive policies against us of other nations and become the main neutral powers in our nations. I'd like to invite Mir to summarize the arguments made.
Berada di pentas antarabangsa ini bukanlah satu perkara yang mudah. Konflik dan ketegangan yang berlaku dalam rantau benua ini pastinya ianya sesuatu perkara yang perlu dilihat serius, dan bagaimana Malaysia ini ingin melihat satu perspektif supaya sama ada ingin berpihak kepada pihak yang memulakan konfrontasi ataupun pihak ataupun kita hanya sekadar bersikap neutral, kerana kita sudah pun mengikat jalinan yang begitu besar, hubungan diplomatik yang begitu kuat bersama dengan negara-negara lain. Tidak kita lupakan pada edisi yang lalu kita ada G10, termasuk juga dengan tanda tangan apabila Laos diserang dan sebagainya oleh Myanmar, dan bagaimana berlakunya perang Myanmar dan juga Malaysia ini menyebabkan kita berada dalam situasi darurat, yang pastinya itu satu benda yang tak dapat kita lupakan. Dan bagaimana kerajaan bersedia untuk menghadapi ancaman-ancaman sebegini seandainya ada negara lain yang ingin berperang dengan kita, sebagaimana kalau kita masih ingat dahulu pada pemerintahan yang terdahulu, kita pernah berperang dengan Sarawak. Jadi adakah andai kata pada kepimpinan yang akan datang kita berhadapan dengan satu lagi peristiwa yang kita harapkan tidak akan berlaku itu, tetapi seandainya ia berlaku, adakah kerajaan pada hari ini sudah pun bersedia untuk menghadapi kemungkinan sebegitu? Baiklah, kembali semula kepada Yau untuk topik yang seterusnya.
Thank you. I'll give all the candidates 3 minutes of free discussion. Would any candidates like to speak? Mr. Winter? Mr. Winter first.
Okay. Okay, so I just found that one of the point I didn't speak out clearly. So one of the point that talking about just now, the South China Sea's conflict, let's say the status of that is not that peace than our expected. So one of the thing that the BRM government trying to do is we are actually ready to strengthen the MAF Malaysia Armed Force diplomacy involvement in maintaining the stability and the peace and also the cooperation, no matter it's in ASEAN and the Commonwealth, even though in the just now Mr. Burnett just now mentioning about the CETO. So we're trying also to ensure that the country's sovereignty is actually defended from all form of aggression, including the cyber threats. So from the BRM's government, we don't want some things Sarawak wars to be happen anymore in our terms, or at least under our administration. So that will be our main priority on defending our sovereignty and also trying to defend our allied sovereignty. So that's all.
Okay, any other candidates? Mr. Bernard?
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you, Mr. Yao, for letting me speak. With regards to defending our sovereignty, I think that you will not find a party that is more resolute in defending our sovereignty than Parti Demokratik Malaysia. Parti Demokratik Malaysia was the government in charge during the Sarawak Malaysia War, and we were resolute in defending our sovereignty and maintaining the territorial integrity of the federation. At regards to the South China Sea, the Malaysian government has been resolute in expressing its desire for a solution to the dispute that does not affect the territorial integrity of Malaysia within the areas that are part of our rightful territorial boundaries. And as such, we have been having discussions with the United Nations with regards to the South China Sea dispute, and I can announce that a resolution is close and will be announced soon. So, with regards to foreign affairs, Parti Demokratik Malaysia has and always will be a strong guarantor of Malaysia's reputation, stability, and Malaysia's best interests internationally. We will never stop fighting for what makes Malaysia tick. Malaysia will and always will be our number one priority. Thank you.
Any other candidates? Okay, seems not. Okay, so since time is almost up for pre-discussion, we'll move on to some of our audience questions once Mir summarizes this topic. Thank you.
Baiklah, jadi itulah dia antara pandangan-pandangan yang dikemukakan oleh terutamanya daripada Mr. Duck dan juga Mr. Bernard. Terutama Mr. Bernard pastinya ingin berbangga dengan apa yang telah dicapai oleh Parti Demokratik Malaysia dan seterusnya mungkin apa yang ingin diperjuangkan juga oleh Barisan Rakyat Malaysia, pastinya kita agak amat hargai dan harapnya apabila mana-mana kerajaan dalam yang akan memimpin dalam penggal ke-21 ini yang merupakan memasuki penggal ke-21 ini merupakan satu perjalanan yang cukup panjang, merupakan satu perjalanan yang cukup jauh, yang pastinya kita mahukan negara kita MYS Plus ini ataupun Malaysia ini terus diangkat di peringkat antarabangsa walau apa jua cara sekalipun. Sebab kalau saya juga tertarik dengan polisi yang dibawakan oleh Perikatan Anak Malaysia dalam manifesto mereka dan juga perbincangan mereka baru-baru ini dalam MYS Plus ataupun raw politik berkenaan dengan bagaimana hendak mengangkat nilai-nilai tradisional terutamanya yang untuk memperkenalkan kepada dunia bagaimanakah budaya di MYS Plus ini terus diangkat dan dikenali oleh serantau dunia. Baiklah, jadi sebelum saya serahkan kepada Yau, seperti biasa bagi anda yang belum lagi mengundi calon debat manakah yang anda lihat sangat menyerlah dalam GE21 debate Should We Change ini, anda boleh saja scan QR code yang tertera di skrin anda ataupun pergi saja ke bit.ly/should we change. Baiklah, berbalik semula kepada Yau, she is cool.
Thank you, Mir. I'd like to invite our viewers also to scan our QR code or go to the link on the screen and to be able to vote in our poll regarding our debate tonight. Okay, thank you. Now we're going to move on to some of our audience questions. I'll give each candidate 30 seconds to answer the question and 3 minutes of free discussion after. So the first question we have is, what are the biggest challenges you expect to face if you win this election, and how do you plan to overcome them? I'd like to invite the PDM candidate, Mr. Bernard, first.
Thank you, Mr. Yao. So, moving forward, the main challenges that Parti Demokratik Malaysia expects is the decline of activity in certain sectors, which has made, for example, the media sector is really struggling right now to find qualified replacements for the previous generation. So our main focus will be to cultivate the next generation of replacements so that we can really make MISVERS sustainable, and it will continue on into the future because we have the ability to regenerate and sustain our activity.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard. Mr. Winter?
Okay, so thank you for Mr. Yao for asking that. And yeah, the challenge that from our BRM government will be that the political stability and also like let's say the declining activity just now Mr. Bernard saying, but main thing will be the political stability because even though the stability of political in the previous few terms is not that stable, so we're still thinking that there will be a bigger threat when the moment we have we enter through the Putrajaya. So we're trying to resolve it and trying to make it more better, and we hope that in the next term, which is the current terms, we hope that this won't be happen anymore. That's from the BRM.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Skoll from PIM?
Thank you for the asking that. Well, really agree with what Mr. Winter say about the political instability. That is our challenge if we become government. We don't know who became the government, BRM or PDM or PAM. So let me say the political instability is happening before at the previous general election when there is a no majority at the parliament. So at this time we don't know who will be the government. And I hope there is a no political instability again. There is a political stability. Yeah, just that. That's our challenge we must have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Confran, would you like to say anything? Mr. Confran? Right, Mr. Confran, I don't. Okay, so unfortunately, Mr. Confran isn't able.
I'm live,
Okay,
right?
okay,
Right.
yeah, you may
What's
speak.
my
Right?
thinking?
The question is, if you win the election, what challenges will you expect to face, and how will you overcome them?
All right. If we like theoretically win the elections, the challenges are trying to find an actual active candidate, actual active cabinet member. But the challenges we'll be facing right now are manpower shortages because not many people are joining our fourth smallest coalition, and they are active and they are actually inactive people around like yeah, they are actually inactive people. So
Okay,
yeah.
sorry, your time's up. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Ms. Mir, if you'd like to summarize, thank you.
Alah, terima kasih kepada semua perwakilan yang memberikan pendapat sebentar tadi berkenaan dengan bagaimana kita nak melihat apakah yang mereka akan persiapkan diri mereka apabila mereka dipilih. Dan sebaiknya apabila dipilih pastinya ada cabaran-cabaran yang akan berlaku. Kebanyakan di antara mereka pastinya menyatakan keyakinan, menyerlahkan confident mereka bahawa mereka akan memimpin sebaik mungkin apabila diberi mandat oleh rakyat pada 9 dan 10, yang mana kalau kita lihat pada angkanya lebih kurang 2 hari sahaja lagi sebelum hari pengundian awal itu akan berlangsung. Manakala bagi kita rakyat Malaysia yang anda sedang menyaksikan kami di National Wide Service ini, kita akan sama-sama akan mengundi pada 10 Ogos 2024. Anda sendiri menyatakan pendirian anda terhadap parti mana di bahagian komen dan sebagainya. Anda undi parti ini, anda undi pakatan itu. Tetapi adakah apa yang telah mereka sampaikan pada malam ini akan mengubah sedikit sebanyak pendapat anda, pendirian anda dan juga perspektif anda kepada parti-parti dan juga pakatan yang bertanding? Jadi serlahkan pendapat anda di ruangan dengan scan QR code kita dan juga pergi ke bit.ly/should we change untuk anda serlahkan pendapat anda untuk anda mengundi calon debat manakah yang menyelah dalam GE21 debate should we change. Silakan kembali semula kepada Yao.
Okay, yep, thank you very much, Mia. Let's move on to the next audience question. We're going to be skipping the open discussion for all the audience questions this time. So the next question is about the public transportation sector. I'd like to ask all the candidates, what will your party do to improve public transportation within MISFIRST? What sort of projects would you aim to implement? And how would you ensure that public transportation companies improve their efficiency and coverage within Bandar and other experiences in the future? I'd like to invite Mr. Skull from PAM first.
All right, thank you. About the PAM manifesto, we already said at the transportation, we will make a program that is named Jom Naik Kendaraan Awam. That means that we seperti mengajak rakyat untuk menggunakan pengangkutan awam. And there is a one MOT Best Service Award. What this means, the MOT Best Service Award? That means we will make this company of this transportation who have like the best, maybe it is like transport or like public, they like it, and there is a one again and reviving of public transport. While there is a many public transport company is already died. Palm has already goals to like resize them and became the worst players again. Can make MYS first can more active at the Bandar Raya and the Booth Raya. So that's our program for the transport.
So, okay, thank you. Let's invite Mr. Confron from GRM. Mr. Confron?
What is this? What is it?
Oh, the question is about public transportation, how your party will improve it, what projects you might implement, and how you will ensure greater coverage and
No, that.
efficiency. Yeah.
Public transportation isn't in our that's what can I say.
Mr. Confron, we can't hear you clearly, unfortunately. Can you repeat one more time? Mr. Confront, how about you type? You send to me what you'd like to say, and I'll read it out at the end of the other candidates. Okay, thank you. I'd like to invite Mr. Bernard from PDM.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. So, with regards to how Parti Demokratik Malaysia plans to improve public transport, first off, we believe that with anything involving the stakeholders and is important. So, firstly, what we will do is bring together all the stakeholders, such as SPAD, the Land Public Transport Commission, and the transport operators. Firstly, to discuss what are the problems that public transport operators are facing, and then so that we can come together, devise a solution so as to make the services more accessible, more efficient, and more reliable for the people on Bandar and wherever the transport companies may operate in future. So that is amongst our plans. And as such, we believe that we have the best platform moving forward to develop a cohesive and functional transport strategy for Malaysia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bernard. I'd like to invite Mr. Skull from PAM. Sorry, did any candidates not go yet or speak yet?
I think I'm the one who left it out.
Yeah, yes, I'm so sorry, Mr. Winter.
Yeah, it's okay, Mr. Yao. So, okay, so let's wrap it up quickly on what BRM gonna do. So, first thing we're gonna having a government program Smart Smith, which is we're gonna having a major transportation events for bus driver and taxis and airways participate in drivers with robots based on the following of the traffic guidelines and participant. And one more thing is called public transport parade around the banda, which is something new to us, like from the previous term we never see it. So this is something new concept, which if we're being elected, we're gonna having a transport parade which show off for the public on what kind of public transport and taxi is used by the drivers around the banda and give a sense of pride into the citizens. And also about the declining activity of the transportation companies, we're gonna having a transportation integrate department which called TID, also something new under the MOT. So by establishing the TID, we could assist all the public transportation company from the all aspect, such as we will be collecting the single data and we're trying to analyze it and we're trying to give them the more details on how we're going to assist them in the future to prevent the decline. We can't say that prevent the declining, but trying to slow down the declining activity into the public transportation. So that is what the BIM trying to do, especially for the TID is the main priority of for the MOT. That's all from the BRM side.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mir, I'd like to invite you to summarize.
Baiklah, isu pengangkutan ini bukanlah isu yang baru saya boleh katakan dalam MYS Verse dan sepanjang kita melaksanakan, kita melihat dari segi perubahan-perubahan yang diadakan oleh kerajaan-kerajaan terdahulu, tapi kita harapkan dengan perubahan-perubahan yang ada dan juga cadangan-cadangan yang dikemukakan oleh perwakilan-perwakilan parti dan juga pakatan pada malam ini yang sama-sama kita dengarkan, seperti mana yang dikatakan oleh Perikatan Anak Malaysia tentang jom naik pengangkutan awam, termasuk juga dengan bagaimana parti-parti dan juga pakatan yang lain menekankan tentang untuk memperkasakan kembali bagaimana hendak mempromosikan semula sektor pengangkutan awam ni ke arah yang lebih baik. Walaupun pada pihak Gerakan Rakyat Malaysia sendiri mengatakan bahawa mungkin kita tidak dapat nak menyelamatkan industri ini lebih banyak kerana mungkin ramai orang mungkin lebih gemar berkereta dalam apa jua acara. Jadi bagaimana tanggungjawab kita untuk mengubah stigma masyarakat itu, itulah yang akan sama-sama kita perhatikan, yang akan sama-sama kita telusuri sebaik sahaja mandat diberikan kepada kerajaan yang akan mentadbir kelak. Baiklah, kembali semula kepada Yao, silakan.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Mir. I would like to move on to our last question for the debate today. 30 seconds, as always. The question is, if you were elected in office, what is the first thing that your government will implement? I'd like to invite Mr. Dark from BRM first.
Okay, so thank you for Mr. Yao and the audience who asked this question. I'm happy that somebody finally asking this. So our main priority is being written in the manifesto, but I'm gonna quickly brief it all. So first thing, we're gonna reopening of the University of Malaya. It's not only about like just the UMMC, the University of Malaya Medical Center. We try to bring in something new. Let's say Malay studies, let's say the business studies, this kind of thing. So we trying to complete the University of Malayas and trying to make it to the public so it could be educate the publics on a certain info on what they gonna to learn for. Second will be the cross-party cooperation, which just now I'm mentioned earlier. So will be between the opposition and the government will having a cooperation. So the political will be having a stability. So that's for our BRM side.
Thank you. Mr. Skull from PAM.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yano. Our main priority from the Palm government, from the Palm side, it's one, we will we will promoting MYS sports event. That's the one point. And the two, we will promote the transportation, Jom Night Pendawaan Awam. And the second one, and the third, we will defense diplomacy, act progressive and fast. At the foreign affairs, we will collaboration and diplomacy. And before I close my statement, I want to say the art of leadership is saying no, not saying yes. It's really easy to say yes. If anyone to become a prime minister or became the head of the country, it's really easy to say yes, but it's hard to say no. Just that.
Thank you. Mr. Bernard from PM.
So thank you, Mr. Yao. So the first thing that Parti Demokratik Malaysia will do if elected into office is to address the many issues that face Malaysia that require an immediate response. For example, the brewing crisis between Malaysia as an ally of Thailand in the Thailand-Myanmar crisis is a situation which requires a strong and firm response from any government that is elected. And if elected, Parti Demokratik Malaysia will take decisive steps to ensure that the crisis comes to an end, preferably via peaceful and diplomatic means, but we will not rule out the use of force if unwarranted aggression is exercised on our ally Thailand. And as such, I believe that that is one of the key planks of what we will do if elected, along with our manifesto promises of improvement and renewal for Malaysia. I believe that
Okay.
Parti Demokratik Malaysia has had the competence for many terms now to improve and change Malaysia for the better. And I urge
Please
the
summarize.
Malaysian people to continue placing their trust in us once again. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Confront from GRM.
Uh, our main objective is to recognize state, is to recognize
Okay, I think Mr. Confront is having some connection problems. I invite Mr. Confront to type out your
And-
answer, and we'll say at the very end. Mr. Confront?
uh,
Mr. Confront?
and
Okay.
not
Yeah, yeah, Mr. Confront. Yeah, please type it. Yeah, thank you. And yeah,
to-
so while we wait for Mr. Confront to respond,
MYS.
Mr. Confront, please type out your answer. We couldn't really hear your answer at all, unfortunately. Thank you. Actually, while we wait for Mr. Confront to respond, actually ask Mr. Winter a quick question. You talked about implementing the University of Malaya. I'd like to ask, like, first of all, from my understanding, the University of Malaya, or the one that you want to implement, is led by your party leader, Mr. Haikaro. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, to be fair, I think that's fine. If you remember, PDM's secret intelligence also led the University of Malaya at one point. But I'd like to ask, do you think if you were elected, will this become a conflict of interest? And will this interfere with duties of offering education under University of Malaya?
Okay, so as I just mentioned about uh under the secret administration, the University of Malaya did establish, but it only established in UMMC, which is the University of Malaya Medical Centers. But as I just mentioned just now, um, our version of UM won't be same with the previous UM. Our version is will having a new facilities, a more comprehensive learning environment, and more cost than the before. So we believe that under a new management and will be monitored by the PMO. Obviously, the UM did gonna do having an education environment to educate the public on what is actual knowledge that they can learning from beside then playing at the game at the same time. So why we're trying to implement of UN, because we still believe that learning while playing will be a most efficient way to let the people to understanding on the knowledge. So this is why we are trying to reopening of the University of Malaya.
Okay. And okay, while Mr. Confront responds to the question through text, I'd also like to ask Mr. Bernard a question about one of his manifesto objectives, the Government Initiative Office. I'd like to ask, can you elaborate from my understanding the the GIO is meant to support the objectives of the government and to test out systems. I'd like to clarify, like, what does this mean for the government and why is this office being implemented should you become government?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Yao. So, as we've noticed before from our experience in implementing certain systems and processes, is that oftentimes the ideal doesn't meet the expectation of reality. So, what we want to do is create an office where we can integrate and test out these systems and processes before rolling them out for wider use. This is to ensure that the citizens get a cohesive and easy to use experience from government services, and that they are able to get the help or the service that they are seeking from the government. So this is what the Government Initiative Office is for, and we think that it will be a great help in allowing us to govern better and more effectively. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Bernard. I'm just going to quickly say what Mr. Confront has said by text. He said that GRM is dedicated to make a bill for government to establish state affairs for governments between player-made states. So I'm assuming that he is supporting the establishments of like various different states and for them to establish relations between the federation and between the government, the federation, and the various states. Yep. Okay. And speaking about this, I also like to quickly ask, like, Skull, like, isn't this one of your objectives of your manifesto objectives as well, to implement states and to make connections between the federation and the various states? Mr. Skull?
Oh yeah, can you repeat again?
Yeah, so Mr. Confront talked about that he'll implement a bill of supporting connection between the states of Malaya and also the federation. So I'd like to ask, is this also one of your manifesto objectives? And can you maybe explain how you're going to do it on your side?
Wait, why have been like
Okay, I guess not. Okay, so I think that's going to be pretty much the end of our debate. Okay, Mr. Skull, you can type your response in the chat quickly. I'll let Mr. Mir summarize the argument thus far.
Baiklah, itulah yang antara yang sama-sama kita dengarkan apakah perkara pertama yang mereka akan lakukan apabila mereka berjaya menakluki Putrajaya apabila mereka diberikan mandat dalam pilihan raya umum ke-21. Pastinya banyak perkara yang kita dengarkan, ada yang kita dengarkan mengenai menghidupkan semula institusi pendidikan seperti Universiti Malaya, ada juga yang kita mendengarkan untuk memperkenalkan daripada JRM mengatakan ingin memperkenalkan hal ehwal negeri, bermakna selepas ini kita akan ada Ro Kelantan, Ro Terengganu dan juga Ro Borneo barangkali. Mungkin itu yang ingin dibawakan oleh Gerakan Rakyat Malaysia, dan begitu juga dengan Demokrat dan juga Barisan Rakyat Malaysia, termasuk juga dengan Perikatan Anak Malaysia juga membawakan pendirian masing-masing, terutamanya untuk mengukuhkan kestabilan politik. Dan juga seperti mana kita tahu, pada pilihan raya umum yang ke-20 kita menyaksikan bahawa satu situasi dan senario yang kita tidak jangka. Mungkin kalau anda ingin membahaskan apa kata-kata yang disampaikan oleh Mr. Skullwalk daripada Perikatan Anak Malaysia mengenai poin terakhir anda, silakan.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly read out Mr. Skull's point that he has sent to me through text due to connection issues. He has said that he agrees with the points made by Mr. Confront. However, he believes that the government doesn't have to take care of everything, and that everything depends on what happens in the future, and that we don't know what will happen in the future. Mr. Mir, we'd like to quickly summarize. Thank you.
Baiklah, terima kasih. Saya kira apa yang dikatakan oleh Skalwat itu berkenaan dengan apa yang akan terjadi pada masa depan, dan kita pun tidak tahu apa yang akan terjadi pada masa hadapan. Itu yang akan kita sama-sama fikirkan, kerana masa depan itulah yang akan dilakar dan diwarnakan oleh keseluruhan yang ataupun yang akan memegang mandat, yang akan menerima mandat daripada rakyat untuk membentuk kerajaan pada ketika ini. Baiklah, barangkali saya rasa itu saja, Yau, betul? Daripada kita semua untuk pada malam ini. Kita confirmation, betul? I think that's all from us for tonight.
Yes, okay. Thank you for your time and discussions on various candidates. I wish the candidates all the best in the upcoming election, and I wish you all success. I also like to remind all of our viewers tonight to vote on the 10th of August in the general election, ensuring that you have a say in the future of this community. Before the stream ends, I'd like to invite all viewers to access the opinion poll and feedback form through the QR code on the screen that has been presented throughout the debate at the bottom right of the screen. Please access the form and give your opinion on the upcoming election and this debate, the results of which we will look into in our next broadcast and release publicly. Mr. Mir?
Baiklah, jadi saya situ saja daripada kami di National Wide Service selaku penyiar rasmi yang berkolaborasi bersama dengan Berita untuk MYS memilih. Terima kasih kepada semua penonton-penonton yang sudah pun meninggalkan bahagian komen. Saya melihat ada bermacam-macam pendapat, ada bermacam-macam pandangan, tetapi seperti mana yang dikatakan oleh sahabat saya tadi, Yaushi Iskul, terjemahkan sokongan anda, terjemahkan pendapat anda, dan juga serlahkan keyakinan anda kepada parti-parti dan juga pakatan yang bertanding pada pilihan raya umum ke-21 ini melalui peti undi, yang mana untuk pengundian awal akan berlangsung pada 9 Ogos 2024, manakala kita semua selaku rakyat Malaysia akan menjalankan tanggungjawab sebagai rakyat Malaysia pada 10 Ogos 2024. Pastinya kita menantikan detik itu untuk kita akan bawakan juga keputusan-keputusan dan juga wawancara yang terkini yang akan sama-sama kita bawakan kepada anda berkenaan dengan pilihan raya umum ke-21. Terima kasih banyak. Teruskan untuk mengikuti kami di National Wide Service dan juga Berita di semua platform media kami. Baiklah, saya rasa itu saja daripada kami di National Wide Service dan juga Berita. Terima kasih kerana sudi menonton GE21 Debate. Should we change? Persoalan adakah patut kita berubah itu kami serahkan kepada anda. Selamat malam. Assalamualaikum. Kita jumpa lagi pada Sabtu ini. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.